Have you ever thought about what motorhome you'd buy if you ever won the lottery? What would you do if you woke up in your motorhome to find a tree had crashed through the roof where you were sleeping? And I've also got footage of a car chase involving a stolen motorhome. It's all coming up on this episode of Motorhome News. Hi, I'm Ads. You can find links to all the news articles in the video description. Last month, I reported that the Scottish Government is planning on introducing a traveller tax to anyone staying in hotels and campsites, etc., but also to motorhomers staying free at overnight park-ups. If the charge is based on the cost of accommodation, then the percentage of free is still free. So, how would they collect these charges is the question they are asking. Recently, in a local government committee meeting, an economy spokesperson for the local government told MSPs that charging motorhomes not using campsites and wild campers in tents would be very difficult and probably quite onerous, and could get to the point where what they're bringing in through the levy is being lost in the collection of that. The thing is, if they now do a 180 and say overnight park-ups won't be taxed, then to me that sounds like an invitation, but what do you think? Would having a travel tax stop you from going to Scotland, or would you just be inclined to do more wild parking? Tell us in the doobly-doo. A man who has been sleeping in his motorhome outside a pub during the recent storm Kieran woke up at 2 in the morning to get a drink of water. Moments later, a tree branch fell onto his motorhome, piercing the roof and impaling the exact spot where he was sleeping. He wasn't hurt, but he was very shaken. He called the pub landlord, who let him in and calmed him down. But just imagine if he hadn't got out of bed, this would have a different ending. In the middle of the night, sometimes you just can't be bothered to get up, even when you know you need to. I think he was very lucky. But what do you think? A 73-year-old man from Devon has won £1 million on the lottery. He's bought 2 barrels of Scotch whisky and a motorhome. The retired taxi driver used to be based at an RAF base in Scotland. There he fell in love with the place, and now he hopes to spend the rest of his days in a croft somewhere in the Highlands. He plans to use his luxury motorhome to tour Scotland and find his new home. So, what motorhome did he buy? Well, just by looking at the photographs, it looks like a £100,000 A-Class from Mobile Veta. Very nice, but what would you buy if you won the lottery? Answers in the doobly-doo. A new motorhome site has been opened at Nobles Park, Douglas, the capital of the Isle of Man. You'll be able to get fresh water and empty your black waste. Electric hookup and grey waste disposal may come later. The cost is £10 for 24 hours. Maximum stay is 4 consecutive nights, and it won't be available on event days such as the TT racing, which is a shame because I've always wanted to see the TT. The island of Jersey has relaxed one of its rules for holidaymakers. Motorhome, campervan and caravan owners no longer need a permit to travel to Jersey so long as they are staying no more than 31 days. Other rules still apply. Overnight park-ups are not allowed. You have to stay at a campsite. Caravans are banned from using the roads unless travelling between the harbour and a campsite. Motorhomes can use the roads during the day, but must return to a campsite in the evening. Size limits also apply to motorhomes and caravans. For more details, check out the link in the video description. This has got me thinking though. Is there a risk that these bans could be implemented by some councils in the UK? There's already height restrictions on some car parks, but could motorhomes be banned from stopping anywhere? Let me know your thoughts in the doobly-doo. A 35-year-old man from Leeds has been found guilty of importing migrants illegally into the UK in his motorhome. Channel Tunnel Border Control found 5 Albanians locked in the cupboard under the drop-down bed, bound for Folkestone. According to the article, the motorhome was a 6-berth Fiat Elsa T-Line, which I've never heard of. The man was sentenced for a total of 11 years and 10 months. He was also sentenced for firearm offences and assault. A 61-year-old disabled woman has lost her life savings to a scam on Facebook. She saw an advert on the social media site and contacted the seller. The scammer told her that the deposit was £1,000 and that they had a mutual friend which they liked. She tried to send the money to the scammer, but her bank stopped the transaction. On instruction from the scammer, she told the bank that the payee is her cousin and the payment went through. The scammer then gave her the address, saying that it was a new build, but when she got there was no house. This is a lesson in using social media sites to buy or sell things. They really don't have any user protection, so be very careful using them, folks. Toyota has launched their new electric commercial van, which I think could give the campervan market a good base vehicle for an electric campervan. It's called the Proace Max and comes in many configurations, including 2 wheelbases, 3 lengths and 3 heights, so plenty to choose from for a campervan. However, the range is a whopping 260 miles, and that could be lower based on the payload. No price available as of yet though. Returning back from a holiday, a couple found their motorhome had been broken into and set on fire, destroying the inside and all their possessions. The motorhome was parked in a private car park in Sunderland with a steering wheel and wheel lock fitted, which were cut off, as well as the ignition lock being ripped out. It appears that the arsonists tried to steal the motorhome but couldn't start it, and so instead they set it on fire. I assume that they were allowed to park in the car park and it wasn't some annoyed local. Also, it's amazing that only the insides were burnt and not the whole motorhome. 2 women have been left stranded in Cromarty, Scotland due to their campervan catching fire. They had just stepped out of their van to visit one of their fathers in a care home when they turned round and saw smoke and flames coming from the cab. They immediately rescued their 2 dogs from the van and tried to put the fire out but couldn't stop it. By the time the fire service had put the fire out, it had been burning for over an hour. Nothing could be saved except 2 bags for life, which is ironic. The fire services believe that it was a freak accident. This has left them stranded 500 miles from home. The local community have rallied around to help them, and someone suggested that they create a GoFundMe page, which is what they did, aiming to get £400 for accommodation and car rental to get them home. So far, they have raised over £700, so they are thinking of going back. No, I'm only joking, that's a joke. A woman has had her motorhome stolen from outside her daughter's house in Bolton. They have been all around the UK in it together and were planning on going to Wales for the half term. She believes the thieves scrambled the internet so nearby cameras couldn't record them, and they also removed the tracker. Is it even possible to scramble a Wi-Fi signal? I don't think so. Her family went door to door around the neighbourhood asking whether they had camera footage to get an idea of which direction the thieves went in. And talking of stolen motorhomes, a subscriber, let's call him Mr. White, has recently had his motorhome stolen, but he managed to get it back by chasing the thief down in his own car. He sent me the video, and I must point out that Mr. White is a trained professional and that you shouldn't do this yourself. Here, the thief has managed to break in and start the motorhome. Being a light sleeper, Mrs. White heard their motorhome pull away and woke her husband up, who followed them in the car using the motorhome's tracker.
Yeah.
The thief has an accomplice and has a phone call with them.
Alright, cool. You're behind, yeah? Alright.
After a few minutes, Mr. White gives chase. I've managed to sync the two dash cams together so that we can see what happens from two different angles. As Mr. White gets stuck at one traffic light, the thief gets stuck at another, and his one is one of those slow ones. You can hear the frustration in his voice.
Come on.
This gives Mr. White time to catch up. You can see the motorhome in the distance. The accomplice is in the red car, and you can see that they have covered up the number plate. The audio is coming from the motorhome dash cam, and you can hear the thief caning the motorhome engine. The thief must still be on a call with his accomplice, who is now in front, because when the thief says, they both pull over, but Mr. White is insistent on stopping them. We do have some lost video here, but the thief pulls the motorhome over, jumps out and runs off over some fields. The police are not far behind. The motorhome is recovered, and Mr. White also sent me some photos of the damage caused, which gives us an insight into how they steal vehicles. Using a screwdriver, they poke a hole under the driver's door handle, possibly lifting the handle cover, allowing them to open the door. To remove the steering wheel lock, they used a portable electric saw to cut the steering wheel. It looks like they cut it in 3 or 4 places. They smashed the ignition barrel and steering lock and short circuit the electrics to bypass the immobiliser. So what can we learn from all this? Well, if a thief wants your vehicle, they will take it. However, you can do things to slow them down, such as fitting these door handle guards, a tracker, a wheel lock, a steering wheel lock, a clutch lock, and I've also heard of people chaining the inner door handles together or to the seats. For more motorhome news, check out this video here and subscribe to get more updates.